I've got a question for you, and it goes like this. I've heard a lot of GMs and coaches now are using what you were actually ahead of the game on, which is they're using those analyzers for the next talents. And that's actually where, if people don't know, a lot of these signings, especially the import players, are coming from, especially like LCS, LEC. I've heard that's why they're picking up. It's not really what the old school people might think, which is that, like the GMs going and watching LCK Challenger, like, is he good? Is his solo cute? They're not really doing that. They're using these things that tell them, like, right, this guy overperforms in that way. What do you think about that? Because I would hope in the future that could elevate a bit of the GMing, that we're not just going off silly Reddit narratives.
Yeah, I think you opened a big can of worms here. It's a very long topic.
Go for it. Yeah, that's why I thought we'd do it at the end.
Yeah. So there's an analyst who created an algorithm, a solo queue algorithm, tracking to like AI, blah blah. Basically, it's been hyper accurate at finding the absolute best players in their position at the given moment. So its only weakness is it cannot really predict the future, other than that like lower tier players, when they go to an upper tier, they usually improve a bit. And so, like a summary, for example, in Excel, we used this to sign Finn. Finn finished 10th in NA, looked awful the entire season, but we looked at the data, and when we couldn't sign the players that we wanted initially, like there was Summit, actually a fun story, that was a moment, we wanted to sign a Korean challenger top laner. But two of my players told me we should not sign a random Korean top laner based off of this algorithm scouting. This player is named Zeus.
T1, yeah. It's mad, isn't it?
So it was really hilarious. Like, we did try to sign him, like, regardless of the player opinion.
You just think what could have been, though, don't you? I don't know.
Yeah, they said, please don't sign Zeus. He's a random Korean challenger top laner. So
we won't say who the players are, but that will haunt them forever, I hope.
Yeah, it will. But yeah, that's one of those hilarious stories, because like we believed in the algorithm. We tried anyway. We couldn't get it. We had to sign an LEC player or like a European player, and Finn actually scored really high compared to like a lot of the hype rookies at the time. Like I remember it was like Aggressivo, Ebo. Like people really wanted to see them in LEC, but hey, like our program told us like sign Finn. He's not the best in LEC, but he's the best you can sign. And look where we are. Like we got a lot of hate for that signing. Look at MNS. Like
that's the one, by the way. I've actually told that story before, that MNS was actually a product of that, because the problem people have, this is where I know if you only go on Reddit, guys, if you go on Reddit, because he did and play badly at the end in Cloud9, you all think he sucks. Bro, you can ask players. His mechanics are really fucking spicy, mate. He has a lot of skill, doesn't he? Like, if he could have been channeled right, he could have been a potentially a good player. It's maybe attitude issues is his issue, right?
Yeah. What was great about him is that he was playing in Turkey, so he was playing solo queue in the EU ladder, which means we can compare him to all the other players in Europe. Right. And he actually came out like top 2.
Wow.
So we signed, and this is maybe the biggest mistake we made in the year 2022, is we signed him to the academy. He was like the first signing we did purely based off the tool. And then we had agents and players and coaches coming in telling us, we don't want to play with MNS. This guy's an Inter. Look at him, how much he ran it down in Turkey. And we kind of know what happened, right? Because in the ERLs, he like broke every record possible, and then joined C9 and went to MSI with them. So and World. So it's like, like I just think like my opinion is that people try to scout a lot for like personality, but even when you ask people for references, you're always gonna get like bullshit. Like that's my experience. So just sign players based on their in-game capabilities, and then do whatever problem comes up. Make sure they have individually high ceilings, and then make sure they're compatible with one another. Like if you sign MNS, but you have a support that doesn't want to leave his lane, like of course it's going to be a disaster. But once you have someone like MNS on the roster, and you actually build around him, he's going to be one of the best mid laners.
By the way, when you say that line, that's another mini can of worms I'll open now, about if you ask other coaches and analysts, like, hey, what was he like when he was in your team? I'll tell you something right now, guys. If they give a bad report about the person's attitude, they were a fucking nightmare, because anyone who's even vaguely decent at doing their job and nice to the coaches are just, they're fucking bleeding hearts in esports pro. It's like my boy Peter Dunn. He'll do that thing where every time a player gets promoted from academy in NA, he'll be like, I'm so glad to see he's been promoted. This guy's a really good player and he's really trying hard. And I'm like, bro, you wouldn't sign him to your team. Shut the fuck up. Like, it's all well and good that they sign him to their team and fail, mate, because you like him. But if I said to you, right, Jankos is leaving, you want this guy in jungle? You wouldn't fucking say, yes, please. You'd be like, oh, I don't know about that. You know, so there's, like you say, there's a lot of bullshit if you ask, right? Like, you're hoping they'll give you the real truth. But the problem is, you're sort of asking your rivals. They're not really incentivized to tell you, no, don't sign him. He's not that good.
Yeah. There's hilarious stories where I guess I won't say names because it's a little bit aggressive. But if let's just say it was in one of my bigger teams, we had to replace someone really important, and we had to do like a background check. And his current coach told us, like, yeah, this guy's great to work with, really passionate about the game, very easygoing.
I can already tell who it is. But go, keep going.
Of course, this guy ended up being something else, probably like the second craziest experience I've ever had in my entire esports career, and that's a long career.
Sure.
But like the best follow-up is like we go to this event, and the coach that like was like bragging about this player like talks to one of my players, is like, haha, I really fooled that. Or like, I really got you guys to sign him.
Oh, that's so evil. That's so evil.
Like it was really next level.
By the way, that's actually one area I will say that is an area, even though, look, we are all competing against each other. I mean, we're all thinking like sports. I don't have to help you if you're but I will say that's one area, by the way, where Korea will always kill us dead, guys. Koreans are just sort of straightforward like that. I've heard if you actually ask, they just sort of tell you like, yeah, he was, good in the practices, but he needed to work on his own. I've heard they just sort of straight up tell you if you're in the LCK and you're another coach, because they all have that relationship, that respect, and they sort of want Korea to succeed. Whereas the problem we all have in the West is it's that crabs in a bucket thing. Like, if anyone's good, we all just want to drag them down. We don't want to all collectively rise as Europe. We want the other person to be the worst in Europe, and we'll be the best in Europe. That's the way. We want to be the big fish in the small pond.
Yeah, I mean, so if you go to an international event, like back in the day, like season 7, 8, 9, 10, the first thing you do is you root against TSM if you're an LEC player. But the second most fun thing to see happen is see your other LEC teams like fail miserably.
Yes.
Like, I know it's maybe a sad reality, but that like usually that's what like
when they do, when all the players are doing those tweets like, oh, cheering for Fnatic to do, they're all lying, guys. They're cheering for Fnatic to get dumpstered by like Damwon or something. They don't want to see him fucking win the game. No, exactly. No way. No. Yeah.
To see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.